All right, welcome in, everybody. This is the SEC Gauntlet. I'm Jason Watkins. That is Marcus Dent. And if you're looking for a show where everybody gets a trophy, this is probably not the place for you. Sure, we already know there are no safe Saturdays in the SEC. There's nowhere to hide from week to week like you can in the Big Ten, where there's a handful of banner programs and a baker's dozen cupcakes that fill out their schedule. Every program in this league is either trying to win a national championship or trying desperately to not get run over by someone who is.
The idea here is simple. There's more happening in the SEC every single week than most shows can even touch upon. We're not just talking about games. We're talking about recruiting battles, NIL moves, coaching pressures, the fan base is losing their mind. Everything that drives you to watch SEC football on Saturday, we're building a place where we can explain and just slow everything down to everyone who's watching.
Yes, sir. And we're doing it a little differently. We're not just going to pretend that we know what it feels like on a hot, humid night in Tuscaloosa, Norman, Baton Rouge, or Athens. I'm going to be on the road experiencing it. That's right. When the 2026 season gets underway, we're taking the show to the SEC. Every week, different campus, different city, and different crowd. But that's the point. This show is embedded. It's not rhetorical. It's not theoretical. It's not remote. It's right in the middle of the action.
We're not here to yell at you. There are plenty of shows out there that's built on that. We're here to bring you context and the things that are happening in the SEC, why they matter, and what's going on with your favorite team.
Which brings us to why now. Because college football is in the middle of the biggest structural shift in its history, and the SEC is at the center of it. Expanded playoff, transfer portal chaos, NIL arms races, mega conferences, scheduling changes, revenue changes, and all of it funnels straight into this league.
The SEC is not just a conference, it's an ecosystem. It drives TV, it drives recruiting, it drives the CFP narrative when it comes to shaping the playoff. And if you don't understand SEC football, you don't understand college football.
So this show is going to live in that ecosystem. Every Sunday, we'll break down what actually happened. Not just who won, but what changed. Every Thursday, we'll look ahead, where the pressure is, where the fault lines are, and where things might break. And we're bringing you into it.
That's right. We want you sending us all the intel, tweets, quotes, clips, rumors. Send us things that your fan base is outraged about. We want to help shape the SEC conversation.
This isn't just our show. It's yours. So we want your takes on it. Your takes on coaches trying to survive it. Your takes on players trying to make it. Your takes on fans trying to endure it. And your takes on programs trying to make their way through it. This is the Gauntlet. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the 2025 season that just was, including that final minute in Phoenix, what it meant for Ole Miss, what it meant for the SEC, and why the rest of the country suddenly feels very comfortable telling this league it's not on top anymore. All right, before we get back into it, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MyBookie. Look, if you're already watching college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, or combat sports, you might as well make it interesting. MyBookie lets you bet on anything, anywhere, and anytime, using point spreads, money lines, totals, and futures. You can even bet live while the game is still going on. Hey, and if you're new, They'll even match your initial deposit up to $1,000, so your money goes further right out of the gate. In MyBookie, use the online sportsbook or play casino games, many featuring actual live dealers. Folks, all of it's in one place, and it works just as smoothly on your cell phone as it does on your desktop. MyBookie even allows you to deposit with cryptocurrency, features top-notch customer support, and has a rewards program that actually pays you for playing regularly. So, if you're going to put action on the games anyway, you may as well do it the smart way and deposit with MyBookie and Hall of Fame Media. Just click the link in the description, hofmedia.us/MyBookie, and take advantage of the first deposit bonus today. You can support the show and guarantee your initial deposit boost all with one click. Quick reminder though, gambling should always be for entertainment only. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, and don't chase losses like a knucklehead. If you or someone you know needs help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is free and confidential. Welcome back to the SEC Gauntlet. I'm Jason Watkins along with Marcus Dent, and it's time to talk a little bit about the season that was in the SEC in 2025. The season that saw, Marcus, 5 teams from the SEC make the college football playoff, but for the third straight year, no participant from the league in the championship game. And I think there's the depth. You know, we talk about how there's a lot of depth,
Correct.
In the SEC. That you can get beat by the lowest team on the totem pole.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think that this really the same narrative around the country. You've got all the other conferences are trying to say that's a bunch of malarkey. But if you go through it, I mean, think about it. I feel like there's a lot of examples that say, yeah, this league is legit that deep.
It's definitely deep, man. You know, so people want to put the SEC in a box because it's been the standard for so long. And,
Right.
you know, right now you got the Big Ten is having some success, you know, but we all know the Big Ten is top heavy. We know that. I mean, that's something that we see from week to week. And you talk about the bowl games. And really, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm not going there with the bowl games because to me, the bowl games, unless you're in the playoff, they don't even matter.
They do not.
But the SEC week to week gauntlet will beat you down. And I think that's what we're seeing right now in the SEC. You know, the depth is there, man. Just look at the NFL draft. That's what I really want to talk about. You want to talk about, you know, all these other conferences and the SEC has fallen off. Wait till the NFL draft come around and we'll see who's really the best conference.
Well, you know, and the other thing I would say is, you know, for everybody saying, you know, you can say whatever you want, but when you got to the playoff, you ended up having 4 of those 5 teams face off against each other.
Yes.
So that you're taking each other out of the mix. You know, Oklahoma opens up with Alabama, who they'd already beaten in the regular season. They end up losing to them. Georgia ends up playing Ole Miss, who Georgia had won the regular season meeting. Ole Miss comes back and wins that one in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. Right? What a fantastic game, by the way.
Oh, man. Oh.
But I mean, you start looking back through all these things. Oklahoma loses a game to Texas during the regular season. They lose to Ole Miss as well. But then Texas turns around. They lose on the road to a Florida team that was, 3-9?
That was really bad.
Yeah.
A really bad Florida team. Mm-hmm. You know, you take an Alabama team who lost to a Florida State team that's really bad. Yeah. You know, so, but just go from A to Z in the SEC. Things are changing. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Vanderbilt, look at what they're doing in the portal right now.
10-2. They were 10-2.
10-2. Well. You know, 10-2. Yeah, they lost the bowl game. I get it, but you got to think about what they had to go through all season long. The teams that they had to play. You know, from the beginning of the schedule to the end of the schedule, nothing was easy.
Well, and I would add to that. You know, the bowl games that everybody. You know, it always seems like bowl games never matter unless your team wins, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
If you look at the regular season, the SEC against the rest of the Power 4 was 13-3. That's when it matters. That's when it matters. Is like moving forward, right? So the 13-3 during the regular season. So you can act like those, you know, the bowl games matter because you're winning them. But if you look at what the Big Ten did, you actually had a bunch of G5 games in their bowl games that
Oh
they
yeah.
played, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, you still had a Vanderbilt team that, yes, they lost that bowl game. Okay, fine. You also that was a Vanderbilt team that was probably feeling a little bad about not being in the playoff at 10-2 for the first time in their history, right?
Yeah. The mindset is not the same when you get ready to go to a bowl game.
Sure.
The practice that week is not the same. It's all about, getting the gifts and family coming down. And the mindset is not focused like it is if you were playing for a title. So,
Right.
you know, not making an excuse for Vandy because they fought hard in the ball game. But
Sure.
I don't think the preparation all week was the same as if they were preparing for Alabama.
Right. Right.
You
No
know.
doubt about it. And I think obviously, yeah, if you're in the playoff and you're playing against another one of these teams, and I feel like really it was tough for the SEC teams that are playing. I mean, you had Bama that, obviously they won in the regular season against Georgia. Then they got beat in the conference championship game. Even after that loss to Florida State, they rattled off like 9 straight wins, right?
Yeah.
They only had one loss going in, and they had a tiebreaker going into the SEC championship game. Yeah, they got beat, but then they turn around and go on the road in Norman, beat my Sooners. And that's tough for Oklahoma. But the thing is that I mean, you're having to go and face a team that's already seen what you got, and it's tough. I think how would it have worked out if you end up playing one of these other programs instead? What if they're playing, what if Oklahoma's playing Oregon, or what if
Oh
Oklahoma is
yeah.
playing Miami in that game?
Oh yeah.
Miami's obviously they're in the championship game coming up this next week, so we're not saying anything bad about it, but if you're having to prepare for a new program instead of somebody that you've already seen, it's a little different to prepare for somebody you've already played, right?
And let's just put in perspective all the crap that Ole Miss had to go through.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, from coaches being at LSU to coming back, having a coach. I mean, let's just give Ole Miss their props for what they done.
Absolutely.
Because that wasn't an easy deal. Hat off to Pete. I mean, I call him Pistol Pete, but Pete is, he's that guy. He's a guy who really never wanted to be a head coach until he was
Right.
put in this position. And I think he's embraced it. I think the kids have embraced him as a head coach. And Ole Miss is going to be tough. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
really lose a lot, when it came down to, you know, people leaving because of the head coach, went to
I think there's
LSU. I
a
mean,
few of
they
the
they,
guys
they
that left,
retained
but
a
most
lot
of
of
them are
kids.
staying, right? Or they're
Yeah.
trying to stay or whatever, and they're trying to hold on to them for sure.
Oh
And
yeah.
I would go back to that too, is that I don't think there was a whole lot of people in the country that felt like, I mean, obviously you felt like they were going to beat Tulane in
Yeah.
that first round game, right? They're at home. They already beat them by what, 5 touchdowns in their first meeting. They
Beat them
pretty
bad.
much did the same thing. But when you look at, the first game that they played against Georgia, they had to go on the road. But when you figure that Lane's no longer a part of it, Lane Kiffin, of course, had already moved on to LSU. Um, obviously, his offensive coordinator and some of his support staff went back to, for that game. But I don't think anybody in the country really expected them to beat Georgia the second time. In
No,
fact, I
no,
don't know
they did not.
anybody that picked them.
No,
You
no.
know,
I mean, they bet it on themselves, man, and you got to take your hat
absolutely,
off to Trinidad, man. He played one hell of a ball game, and that's something, man, that um, it's all about culture, and I think that's a school that's growing culture. I think Vandy is trying to grow a little culture.
absolutely.
So you got schools that are growing
We got
culture.
the number one quarterback in the country.
They got the number one
Coming.
quarterback in the country, Vanderbilt.
Go figure.
Vanderbilt.
Right. Who
Come
would have
on,
figured?
man.
Who would have figured it, man? No, I know.
Hey, they got some money up there now.
Of course they do. It's the
Yeah,
Vanderbilts, man.
yeah.
I mean,
So
that's
um, to be honest with you, and the thing about the SEC, the old SEC
Mm.
is dead because the Alabama Bagmans, the Auburn Bagman, and all that stuff. Man, everything is out on the table now. Now you can pay your players. If your school has money, they can actually make money from your program.
sure.
So there's a bunch of smart people at Vanderbilt, and I think they realize if we win, we're going to make money. So
Well, the
we're
same
going to
thing. The same
invest.
thing should be said for Ole Miss. I think the Ole
Right.
Miss. I don't know that a lot of people came into this season expecting a lot out of Ole Miss. They kind of went all in last year. Remember,
They
it was
did.
the whole the
Oh,
2020,
they broke the
2024
bank
season.
on the defense, man. They broke the bank
Right.
on the defense.
They added guys left and right. They had, you know, you've got a quarterback in Jackson Dart that, he's in his fifth year in college. He looks like he's a first round pick at the end of the year.
Yes.
And they just looked like a team that was ready to go, but they
Mhm.
fell short again, had a loss to Kentucky that kept them out of the playoff. But
Yes.
I think that this team, even though their defense wasn't as set up, they didn't spend the same kind of money, but they kind of went through it and they just seemed to get galvanized. And as weird as it sounds, the Lane Kiffin saga that took the better part of 2 months, really the whole season. I mean, they were talking about it, but
Man,
it almost felt like it built the. It made
it
that
built them.
team kind
It
of
built the
galvanized them,
program.
right? It kind of
Right.
galvanized them and said, "Hey, you know what? We don't have to have him here to win," and I think that it meant something to those guys, right?
I think it also, yeah, it definitely meant something to them. I think it made the fan base stronger. I've
Mhm.
I've never seen a fan base as strong as Ole Miss is right now. I mean, they're strong, man. I mean, for everything that they do, every restaurant you go in up in Oxford, you can tip and leave money to the collective. I mean, they done figured it out. And there's
Right.
going to be a lot of other schools have to figure it out. And it's just one of those things that I think the whole um, lane train thing, I think they thought it was going to derail them, but I think it just made them stronger, to be honest with
Right. Now,
you. You know,
obviously, LSU didn't. I mean, they come in really one of the favorites to win the SEC championship, to play for a national championship. You had a bunch of guys. I mean, they went heavy in the portal this past year,
oh, yeah.
for the before the season. They never really came. I mean, other than that first game against Clemson, you never really saw them get off the mat. They couldn't really get anything going offensively. Even having Garrett Nussmeier coming back, a host of receivers that they really expected to step up.
A
You
really
just
good
didn't
running
see it.
back. A really good running back.
Really good running back. They had really good receivers, Baron Brown. They had Nick Anderson. They had on top of the guys that were already there.
Right.
This was a team that looked like it was loaded. Whatever happened, Brian Kelly and it just seems like the program got further and further away from him each year that he was in Baton Rouge.
It
Um,
did. It
and
did.
and
It started with this.
right,
I
yeah,
think that started.
and the
I
fake
think that
accent
started it all,
stuff.
man.
Right, the fake accent stuff at the basketball game that night. It was
Oh
weird.
man, that's
Yeah, just
crazy, man.
you gotta do better, bro. You gotta do better. And so that blows up with what? I mean, there was 5 weeks left of the season whenever they
Yeah,
fired him. So,
yeah.
it which really set off the whole, who's gonna get Lane. Florida ended up firing their coach as well, Billy Napier. They ended up
Yeah,
getting rid of him about the same time. In
yeah.
fact, maybe even a week before that. Um,
Oh,
you've got
this was
multiple Sam Pittman's gone from Arkansas. You're starting to see all this stuff upheaval. They ended up getting rid of Hugh Freeze at Auburn. So there was a big major shift going on during the season, and you've got new teams stepping up. Oklahoma
yeah,
steps up and they make a playoff run for the first time in what, 4 years.
definitely.
You have Alabama, of course, they find a way to get back in it even after. I mean, picked themselves up off the mat after that week one loss to Florida State that just didn't look good. They they found a way to really get it going. Now, obviously, the way that it ended against Indiana doesn't look good for them, and the way that they played in the SEC championship as well. But along the way, they still beat a a, a Georgia team that had one loss going into the Sugar Bowl.
A
And it
very
was just
talented
them.
Georgia team.
Yeah, that Georgia team played a bunch of really, tight games. I mean, that Tennessee game early in the year, I mean, that was an unbelievable game.
Could have went
Tennessee
either
kind of
way.
fell off at the end of the year, but they had a good season. Nobody really expected much from them because of you losing Nico Iamaleava. They bring in a guy from the FCS, or no, from the G5, in Aguilar, and he goes out there and lights up scoreboards. They have the number one offense in the league. Um, Again, even the teams that didn't really get it together, you didn't see much from Lenore Sellers in South Carolina. They didn't really find a way to get it going. That offensive line has been a problem there for them.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a problem. They let Lonnie go. I think kind of mid-season,
Yeah,
and that whole line. I think that whole line hit the portal, and that's something
right.
that we talk about the LSU team. When they were playing those last 4 or 5 games, those kids were playing for tape because they knew most of them was going to hit the portal. They
Sure.
knew Lane Kiffin wasn't going to keep a vast amount of those guys. So, it was a lot of individuality going on at that time. Same way with the coaches. The coaches, hey, look, he's going to bring his staff. we got to find a job, so we got to go out here and try. And they had some good runs even at the end,
Sure.
but LSU has talent, and we know that the state of Louisiana produced talent.
Oh man.
Lang is going to get talent, but
Yeah.
right now I think LSU should be more worried about their culture right now than getting talent.
Sure.
Because you can have all the talent in the world, if the culture is not right and the locker room is not right, you're not going to win.
How many people believe that Brian Kelly would be out inside of 4 seasons and not win a national championship after what he did at Notre Dame with less talent?
Yeah, he's that was his claim to fame, coming to the SEC to get better talent to win a natty, and his successor actually was more prominent than he was, making it to a
Absolutely.
national championship game. So right now Kelly is, I don't know. Of course, LSU owes him a lot of money, but I don't think you'll hear from him for a while.
I mean, he could ride off into the sunset with that fat stack of cash, $78 million or something.
I know
like
I
that.
would. I mean, they
Yeah.
just
I'd
got
be out on my
paying
boat.
Ogeron.
I'd be on the boat. It'd be
Wow, man.
you wouldn't see me much. You wouldn't see me much. Are you tired of your game day gear looking like it's stuck in the off season? Well, step up your fandom with Hall of Fame College Football's official Fanatics partner store. Whether you're a diehard Oklahoma Sooners fan like myself, bleeding crimson and cream, or you rep another one of the SEC's heavy hitters, Fanatics has you covered. Shop thousands of officially licensed hats, jerseys, sideline polos, and exclusive championship merch from the entire Power 4 and Group of 6 too. All shipped directly to your doorstep and fast. Want to gear up like your favorite coaches and players? Are you looking for that perfect tailgate tee or a statement piece for your man cave? Fanatics is your one-stop shop for authentic college football gear from everybody that plays the game. So do yourself and your team a favor. Click our link in the description or simply log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. And you can shop everything that you want for the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner page. Listen, going back to Ole Miss a little bit though, I think that overall, as we talked about, I can argue this all day with anybody how this league is still the strongest, top to bottom in America.
No,
I don't think you can try to act like that's not the case, but I think that the fact that the SEC's name is always in everybody's mouth, they always talk about how it is and how it isn't. You give it all the attention, we know the truth. But let's just put it. I mean, listen, what about that loss in the Fiesta Bowl to Miami? Miami Hurricanes. It's been a long time since they've even been relevant. But Mario Cristobal has announced his presence. Another great football game that Ole Miss was in. I think they just ran out of time more than anything.
Yeah, they did it. Ole Miss didn't tackle well in that football game.
They did it.
And against Mario, you're going to have to tackle well because they're going to pound the rock.
No doubt.
He's an offensive lineman.
Their trenches are unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And what they did the first beginning of the game, they got out to Trinidad a little bit, but Ole Miss figured it out. They had to get the ball out because he was averaging getting the ball out like something like 2.4 seconds or something like that. And, they kind of went, 2.4 seconds is pretty quick. But they was given, I think, like at the half, it was like 3-something. So they was actually having to have more time, and Trinidad wasn't getting the ball out as fast. And the second half, they changed that. But,
sure. Well, they didn't have a lot of possessions in the first half either.
No.
They were pounding the ball, and they were just Miami was moving the ball. So
time possession was kind of off.
Very
I can't
lopsided.
remember exactly what it was, but I think the time possession wasn't close.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes to 10, something like that. It was literally double.
And Ole Miss did not play their best ball game. Don't get me wrong. And Miami has a great football team. They got two of the best damn edge rushers in college football. Oh my goodness!
And the physicality, like I think that was one thing. Kirby talked a lot about physicality at Georgia, and that's what they're going to do. I think he was kind of pointing at Texas a little bit. Who, by the way, we're talking about this recap. Texas came in as a preseason number one. Arch Manning expected to win the Heisman. They missed the playoff. They'd been in the playoff 2 straight years. They missed the playoff. Really, that loss to Florida really hurt them. Obviously, they almost had a loss at Kentucky. They almost had a loss they almost lost to Vanderbilt. They were able to pull that one off. Now Arch got a lot better towards the end of the year, but they fell about a game short because they were
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State almost got them. That's it. Mississippi State almost got them. But, and that offense there, Mississippi State still had a rough season, but they looked really good earlier in the year. It ended up falling off a little bit, but I think that Jeff Lebby and company, they've got a little something going right now.
Defense, man.
They've got a really good young quarterback that they expect a lot of coming up. In the end, I feel like this league, it may be shifting a little bit, but the physicality is still there at the top. If you're gonna, and what I noticed more than anything is if you're gonna play at the top of this league, you've got to run the ball physically, and you've got to play physical defense and stop the run on the other side.
Yeah, and I'm gonna touch just a little bit on Mississippi State. I predicted them to go 6-6 last year on my show. They went 5-7. But you think about the games that they lost that was really close. They could have easily been on the other side of this. It could have been 7-6. Yeah, Tennessee. Heck, who was it? It was somebody else. It was Tennessee, Texas. They played Texas really tough.
Texas, they almost had it. They should have won the game.
Yeah. So I mean, they had a few games in there that that they just did not, did the defense. And so I think Jeff Lebby went out and brought back Zach Arnett, and who, in my opinion, was forced into that job being a head coach. And I think he's got to a point now that I think that's what he wants to do is be a defensive
And he's one of the good defensive minds, man. That guy
he's a great
there was a reason why they made him the head coach.
Yeah, a great defensive mind. And like I say, they building blocks over there in Bulldog country. I think it's getting better. Leb's gonna score points. They got to stop somebody. Yeah, they got to stop somebody. You talk about a Vanderbilt team who is losing a crucial piece of their puzzle when it comes to their quarterback. But man, they got a phenomenon as right out of high school, and hopefully he can help them out. But there's schools that we don't know about right now. What about Florida? What about Auburn? Yeah. Those schools right now have the biggest question mark when it comes down to, just what are they going to be? We know what the coaches look like in other places, but this is the SEC. It's just a shifting of landscape that we don't know what those coaches are going to look like.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, you saw a lot of changes this year. I mean, the shifting landscape during the season. You saw, some teams that elevated. You saw some teams that fell off. We talked about a lot of these teams that fell off. I think you still have Texas is going to be one of those teams that's going to compete for the top. I think you expect Georgia to be back at the top again. They've got their quarterback coming back. Gunnar Stockton was fantastic this season. I got to say that about him. As much as, I mean, I'd say Trinidad Chambliss was absolutely a breath of fresh air to watch.
Oh, man.
The way that kid played. What a player, right? Again, I feel like they just ran out of time against Miami more than anything else. There wasn't really a loser to that game as far as, I mean, somebody's got to lose, but what a game. It was a great game. Now, at the end of the day, you had Tennessee fall off. You had Missouri fall off at the end of the season as well, even though they had the leading rusher in the country, in Ahmad Hardy. Another amazing entry into the SEC coming from Louisiana Monroe. But they fell off a little bit. Kentucky ends up replacing their coach. Sam Pittman is let go at Arkansas as well. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
You just talked about a lot, Florida, man. But I'm just thinking about Kentucky. Listen, Will Stein has had Heisman finalists for the last 3 years? 3 straight years.
Well, let me ask you this though, Jason. I understand what you're saying about Will, but will Kentucky spend the money that you have to spend in the SEC to be at the top?
It feels like you kind of have to, right? I mean, the money it's not like they're short on money at this point. And I don't know that you go out and get a guy like Will Stein from a place like Oregon if you're not ready to do that.
I totally agree. I
think they win it, and they're after big time quarterbacks. I mean, who was it that ended up? We got to talk a little bit about obviously the portal, and the transfer portal has been wild. Just crazy. But I mean, but Will Stein, this is a guy you want to play for. Again, 3 years in a row, he's had a Heisman finalist as a quarterback in there. Dante Moore being the latest one. The year before that, Dylan Gabriel, who was a transfer from Oklahoma the year before that, he's a Heisman finalist. The year before that, Bo Nix, Heisman finalist, and top 2 in the Heisman, I believe, 2 or 3. Anyway, first round pick. This is a guy that one thing that was, Kentucky's been able to play pretty good defense. They run the ball okay, but they have struggled to put points on the board tremendously. They're another one of those teams that should be pretty scary for a lot of teams to face up against this in the next few years with him at the helm. I agree with you on Florida. I think that Lane Kiffin is a really good fit for LSU. I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this. I think that the best coach in the cycle in the SEC is down in Gainesville. I think they got the right guy, man. To me, John Summerall, he's been that up-and-comer. We talked about him in the past couple of years about, what he's done at Tulane, what he had done at Troy before that. This guy's a real deal coach, and he just seems like he fits that kind of cocky swagger that you got to have at Florida, right?
Well, he's been in the SEC when he was with Kentucky. He played at Kentucky. He understands what has to be done. He had a tremendous run at all the schools that he's been to. So I have no problem or nothing saying that, okay, I think he's going to struggle. He's going to do fine. It's going to take a while.
They have resources there too, right?
They have resources. They got the money. But the team that I'm going to talk about, and I know this, people finna just going to let it, they finna lose their minds. But the team that I think that is slipping is Alabama.
Okay.
I think Alabama's slipping because, the way Nick Saban done things was so up here.
Yeah.
And nothing against Caleb. He's a great football coach. I just don't think his style of play and the way he recruits will last very long in the SEC.
It's not a great fit for Tuscaloosa, you don't believe?
I don't think he is. I'm not saying he's not a great football coach. I think
I think he is. I think everybody knows that he is. He took Washington to the national championship game a few years ago.
I think he's a really good football coach.
Sure.
But I think he's a West Coast guy. I would think he would do well at I know Atlanta's not going nowhere, but like
Midwest
Oregon,
maybe too. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I just don't think the down south thing works for him.
Yeah, well,
I just don't. I might be dead. I might be totally wrong because Nick Saban is not in the building, but he still has a presence on SEC. Not
he's
SEC,
got an office in the building
day.
still. He does still have an office in the building, though.
Right.
He does.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just, if the team I see slipping from losing players to, I think that's the team. And I'm not bashing.
I think we're going to find out soon. I think we're going to find out soon. They missed the playoff his first year there. This is a team that had the number one talent roster still when he got there, even with the players that left. I would tell you that look, I watched Oklahoma go into Tuscaloosa and win, and without much of an offensive punch either. So
we both know that.
That's putting it nicely, to be quite honest with you. But that being said, when you look at, I don't know, maybe you're right. And there's been lots of people that to be the guy that follows Nick Saban, that's a tough deal.
I wouldn't want to be me.
That the way that I want to wait and see until he gets his guys. The way that the line was built, it wasn't for the way that they
year 3 though, right? This year 3.
This is year 3 coming now. So, what I'm saying is the guys that he had left over, I don't understand why you would have went away from what it doesn't seem like they made the right decision on who to hire, because you look at the defense. I think that Kane Womack's a hell of a defensive coordinator. I think he's really good, but they don't do the same things that what Nick Saban did, and the kind of players that they brought in. Hardly any man. They don't hardly do any man coverages. It's a lot.
Nick was a man-to-man type of guy, man.
They never right exactly. To me, it just seems like a weird fit. And then you've got these monster linemen. Now, they won a Joe Moore Award at Washington with smaller linemen, quicker, that were doing the pass blocking, and they were going to run differently. They didn't. But what we're not seeing is a dedication to the run. They're not committed to running the ball. And we'll see what happens with. They've still got really good receivers. But Keelan Russell going to be first year quarterback. I think he's dynamic. He might be great. It could be, or it could be Mac who comes in as well. But again, I think that this is a pivotal year for Alabama coming up for sure. I think that this is a year that you're going to start seeing some more of his type of dudes because they've lost a lot of those guys.
But you
from
have
the last couple of years that were left over, right?
You have the portal, so
you do.
It should be easy to replace or replenish, however you want to say it. But I mean, you probably got. I know you got one guy probably be the first lineman taken off the board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody that has that type of, they're massive, they're huge up front, and man, they had a worse rushing attack than I want to say 80% of the teams in the SEC.
One thing I will say though, we can't forget that they did make the playoff. They did beat Oklahoma in the playoffs. Now and although the game looked, the 35-point loss to Indiana looks really bad in the Rose Bowl, they turned around and did the same thing to Oregon the next week, right?
Indiana has a NFL team. Everybody in there got grandkids. I'm just saying.
They're 23. I mean, the average. Hey, man, we talked about that a lot. The average age at Indiana is 23. The average age of the Packers is 25. So there's a lot of experience there. It doesn't look as bad, I don't think. And it's easy, like we said, we talked about it in the first segment. It's easy to sit here and bash the SEC, but truth be told, there's a lot. Look, we're going to have a lot more of this to talk about. We probably should cut this at this point. We still got to get through a couple of other things in the next couple of segments here. We're gonna talk about the recurring segments that we're gonna have. But I just ask you this: we know about who slipped. Who's going to be that next team to take a rise in your opinion? You just talked about who you think is going to slip. Let's finish this segment off on who do you feel like is going to take a step forward in 2026?
I think Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt takes another step forward.
I think Vanderbilt takes another step, and I think Tennessee gets it together. Just because, you can't lose your quarterback in the spring and get another quarterback and then think, everything's just going to work out. I think Tennessee still has some pieces. I think they're going to be okay, but there's too many other teams that are too new. And I'm going to say this.
Let me ask you this.
We can't say Ole Miss.
What about Texas A&M? What about Texas A&M? They made the playoff. Now, they lost to Miami in that first game. They got a return quarterback, and they've got a defensive-minded coach. We didn't really bring them up a lot on this, but I think it'd be look. I think a lot of people are taking shots at their schedule.
Yeah,
but I would tell you that, and they lost to Texas again, which that's kind of what happens with Texas A&M and Texas a lot of times. But I'll say this: Marcel Reed coming back for his second full season as the starter, really his third season as the starter, more or less. Could they take a step forward, or do you feel like they take a step back?
No, I think they take a step forward. I see them marginalized where they are. I still see them as making a playoff. So I just can't see they take a leap. I kind of see them where they are unless they show me something different.
Right.
They don't seem to be tough, if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, they got speed, they got everything, but are they just tough? I just don't see the toughness from
on the offensive side,
from the offensive side, I just don't see it. I see it in Vanderbilt. I see the head coach, the way he carries himself, and we know what he did at Notre Dame.
Sure.
So I mean, I see that, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about Jeff Lebby's Bulldogs. You got a team that won 5 ball games. The offense is going to be okay. If you go back and look at the history of Jeff Lebby, he scores points.
Mm-hmm.
And with the quarterback that he has right now, I think this is probably the best quarterback he had since he's been coaching college football.
Okay.
And to say
Kamario Taylor's the name, by the way. Unbelievable young player.
6'4", 230, can run. I mean, the whole nine. He reminds me of Cam Newton. I'm just going to be honest with you. The body build, pretty much the same. Okay. But defensively, if they turn the corner defensively, they could be right there with Vandy. I'm saying Vandy's going to take a leap, but I think State probably has the most room to jump from 5 wins to maybe 8. Does that make sense?
Throw another name at you. I'm gonna throw two more names at you:
Okay.
Auburn and South Carolina. South Carolina goes out there and they add an offensive coordinator. He's pretty close to your boy Jeff Lebby there at Mississippi State.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
is.
listen,
He is. He is.
Kendall Briles comes in as and he's got to look. You got and you have Lenore Sellers coming back.
We know what that
Can
Brown
they
tree.
build? Can they build enough on that offensive line? And can Kendall take Lenore's to another level?
Man, Lenore's the dude. And you know, as bad as that
that's Cam Newton to me.
Hey, yeah, you're right. As bad as that offensive line was last year, man, you seen things out of him. You were like,
can't be worse, right? Can't be worse.
Yeah, it can't be worse. So, yeah, I can see them moving the needle. I can see them moving the needle. Defense wasn't that bad. They lose a lot of guys, but you know, I can see them being. Beamer could win 9 ball games.
They could take another step. Now they seem to do that every other year, kind of thing at South Carolina under Beamer. So that was a question that I had.
Yeah, you think he's going to win?
Alex Golish comes in with the quarterback. This is a team. He coached a team at USF that beat Florida in the swamp in week 2 of this year. He's going to bring that quarterback with him. Now they lost some guys in the portal. Obviously, Cam Coleman going to Texas is a big shift for probably the best receiver in the country, aside from maybe Jeremiah Smith, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, did they get enough, or do you think they took too much from USF? Did they get enough? Do you think they take a step forward this year, or are they probably a year or so away?
Man, the jury's still out on those guys. You know, you taking kids that come from another conference into the SEC outside of the Big Ten. I can't weigh in on that because you know the SEC is brutal, and I just don't think nothing against those kids. Those kids might come in and kick butt, you know, but yet and still, man.
But you lost a lot there, though. You did lose a lot.
You lost a lot, man. So I'm a, you know, I would like to see what they look like in the spring, you know, and before I kind of make a decision on them. But you know, they got the money over there to bring in kids, so they got a lot of weapons and they got a lot of people over there to care about the program. So Auburn will be fine. It's just one of those programs that's just so hilly, man. It's up and down all the time.
We're gonna go one more minute. I'm just gonna say the teams that I think are gonna take a step forward, and a team that are a couple that I think may take another step back. I think that the step forward team. I think that Ole Miss may make another step forward. I think that Deuce Knight coming in, battling for that job. I think that he looked really good in the game that they played him. Obviously, it was an FCS program that they played before the Iron Bowl at Auburn. But I think Deuce Knight he's shown that he's kind of got that swag. He can throw it. He can run a little bit. I mean, you've talked about him a lot in the past as well. This is a 5-star guy that, you know, Notre Dame would have loved to have had him as well. There was a lot of, I mean, tell you something. But I would just say this. I think that if Pete Golding could get the defensive guys that he needs on that side of the ball, I don't think that they have to lose a ton offensively. I think that you may be adding a big time playmaker that, aside, you know, Chambliss, we saw him being that guy, but this might be that type of player too in Deuce Knight. So I like Ole Miss again this year as well. I would tell you that I do think that LSU probably takes a step forward. I don't know if it's a step into the playoffs right away in year one. But I do think that Florida makes a move forward, and I'm not too sure that I trust in Missouri.
I
don't trust in Arkansas either. I don't think that they're fully invested in Fayetteville and Mizzou. Look, I don't know. I've seen them kind of taking that. They've been playing it. They played a bad schedule for an SEC school last year and finished at 7-5.
I mean,
or 8-4 it was.
Yeah, 8-4. You know, I'm pretty much on the same lines, you know, what you're talking about, Jason. And I think the two best young quarterbacks in the SEC are both from Mississippi. Kamario Taylor and Deuce Knight.
You know, it's not really, I mean, look, as far as the young quarterbacks, I think it'd ask a lot for them to be the best quarterbacks in the league. Right. But I think that they're the up and coming quarterbacks in this league right now.
They got the best upside.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But we're going to talk about a lot of this over the coming months as we get back into this. But we're going to come right back to this next. We'll come back on this next segment, and we're going to get into this crazy transfer portal window that's been going on in the SEC and everywhere around the country. But there's some crazy moves going on down there in Baton Rouge. Crazy,
Definitely.
crazy stuff. But we'll be right back, and we'll talk about that as well. For whatever reason, Marcus and I forgot to bring up Oklahoma when we were talking about taking a step forward or taking a step back in our SEC 2026 landscape portion of it. That's the beauty of recordings, though. I can come back and talk about it. And being an Oklahoma content creator, an Oklahoma Sooner myself, I would just tell you that while I think that OU took a major step forward, finishing 10-2, what a fantastic second half of the year. Elite defense as it could possibly be when it comes to Brent Venables and what he put on the field. And I do believe that you're probably going to see similar things next season from OU from that defense. I got to tell you that it's a wait and see for me. It's a wait and see for me. They've got a quarterback coming back in John Mateer, along with his offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle. That was the addition to the team that was supposed to get them over the hump this past season. It really wasn't that. Oklahoma won in spite of the offensive troubles that it had, mostly with John Mateer. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't think that they can take a step forward. I just want to say it's wait and see. The things that we saw from Mateer from a mechanics standpoint and from a decision-making point of view, it's just not something that I can trust in for OU. I think defensively they're going to be fantastic. I think that they have to commit to the run, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Alabama. But I have to see that to believe it. It's 2 years in a row that we've seen Oklahoma not be up to their standard on the offensive side of the ball. And you kind of wonder about Coach Venables and whether or not he is committed to making sure that offense is up to par. We'll find out how that goes this year. But I just wanted to toss that in there as a part of the recap and looking forward to next year. All right, before we get back into it, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MyBookie. Look, if you're already watching college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, or combat sports, you might as well make it interesting. MyBookie lets you bet on anything, anywhere, and anytime, using point spreads, money lines, totals, and futures. You can even bet live while the game is still going on. Hey, and if you're new, they'll even match your initial deposit up to $1,000, so your money goes further right out of the gate. In MyBookie, use the online sportsbook or play casino games, many featuring actual live dealers. Folks, all of it's in one place, and it works just as smoothly on your cell phone as it does on your desktop. MyBookie even allows you to deposit with cryptocurrency, features top-notch customer support, and has a rewards program that actually pays you for playing regularly. So, if you're going to put action on the games anyway, you may as well do it the smart way and deposit with MyBookie and Hall of Fame Media. Just click the link in the description, hofmedia.us/MyBookie, and take advantage of the first deposit bonus today. You can support the show and guarantee your initial deposit boost all with one click. Quick reminder though, gambling should always be for entertainment only. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, and don't chase losses like a knucklehead. If you or someone you know needs help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is free and confidential. Welcome back to the SEC Gauntlet. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host, Marcus Dent, from the Gridiron Insight and Ole Miss 365. Look, got to get back in here and talk a little bit about this transfer portal chaos in the SEC, Marcus. It has been, we've seen it get crazier and crazier every year, but I don't think it's ever been crazier than it is right now. You've got, a lot of guys are going heavy. There's other guys that aren't. But I don't think we can start this thing without starting in Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin and talking about this guy. It looked like he was going to lose Sam Leavitt over the way that everything went down at the basketball game when he visited last week. Not only does he not, he pulls him inside of 72 hours, pulls Husan Longstreet, another 5-star quarterback.
He has 3 quarterbacks
from USC, plus Landon Clark from Elon, who is one of those guys that everybody is that FCS guy that's supposed to be that dude that everybody was excited about. Three potentially expected to be starting quarterbacks. I guess I could understand Longstreet waiting a year to play behind Levitt if you're assuming that he's going to go to the league. But it doesn't feel. Not sure that I understand the Landon Clark move. What is he? Is he playing supermarket sweep here with quarterbacks or what?
Oh man, it's Lane Kiffin. So you don't know what he's thinking. Right. Nobody has been able to rationalize the way Lane Kiffin thinks. So
it's been a weird year for this, right?
It's been a weird year, but he likes to create quarterback battles. I mean, that's what he does. Sure. And that's what he's doing now, I guess. Yep. But right now in the portal, for him to be the portal king, as he, crowned himself when he was at Ole Miss, they're not doing very well.
Well, they're right now so far, and you guys are going to have your rankings out tomorrow when the portal closes. That's obviously Friday the 16th. The portal closes. As of right now, you're showing the On3 Rivals rankings so far has LSU. They're not inside. Yeah, they are number 15 in the country according to them, right? So they've added 26 players from the portal. They lost 32, obviously leaving out of there. Number 15 in the country according to them, right? So they've added 26 players from the portal. They lost 32, obviously leaving out of there. A lot of that being the offensive line. So it was kind of surprising to me to see that you're going really heavy on quarterbacks, but not on guys to protect them. They have obviously.
Maybe he just think the guys he have, there could get the job done. I don't know. I watched him bring in offensive lineman after offensive lineman while he was at Ole Miss. Right. So I don't know. I mean, like I say, man, you can't get in the head of this guy.
Now he did get William Satterwhite out of Tennessee coming in to play interior offensive line. You've got, let's see, most of the guys you basically lost your entire offensive line. Now you did bring in, just a couple of guys really you're switching out guys that, Ori Williams, obviously, he feels like, I think he feels like he's going to get it going on the right side of things in Baton Rouge on the offense. You would expect him to do such, this is what he's kind of the best at. But
it is.
To lose a lot of the guys that they've lost and then bring in, I'm not sure that I understand the 3 quarterback deal, and it just seems kind of weird to me. And not be as heavy as you would think that you would need to be on the line.
Offensive line. But the SEC team that's really dug into the portal is Texas A&M.
Texas A&M is ranked number 3 according to On3, correct?
Yeah, and they had they had a pretty good football team last year, and to go that deep in the portal kind of makes me think, are they shifting one way or another? Maybe getting a little bit better on the defense side of the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, for what we're seeing on the incoming side of things, they added an interior offensive lineman, they've added a kicker, they've added more wide receivers, but a couple of interior offensive line guys. They go back to the D line, obviously getting the Davis Swain kid from Colorado.
Yeah.
They've been, I think that, defensively speaking, defensive side of the ball, they add Isaiah Horton on the offensive side. That's a big one. I would think you add another linebacker and TJ Smith out of Loyola. These are some guys that are definitely coming in. CJ Mims, defensive line out of North Carolina as well. They're definitely trying to get a little heavier. It seems like definitely on that defensive side. But guys like Isaiah Horton, you also, one of the guys we didn't bring up for LSU was they went and got Dallas Wilson out of Florida. At receiver as well. So that's a big move on.
Yeah, he's a dude. I talked about him a little bit last year,
dude, bro.
Yeah, he's a dude, man. That's
overall. I just wanted to say that you've got 9 out of the top 20 portal rankings according to Tennessee coming in at number 13. You go out there and you get a Chaz Coleman, that edge rusher out of Penn State. Obviously, going and getting they're definitely were building up on the defensive side. Josh Heupel talked about that. Obviously, they're going heavier on the defensive side because of bringing in a guy like Jim Knowles. That helped them to bring in Jim Knowles. You got Chaz Coleman, who was one of the top couple of I think he's number 8 overall.
Mhm.
In the portal rankings, defensive edge guy. He looks like he's really good. You also brought in Dewan Lane, safety out of there as well. That's big for them, I would think. If you go get a guy like TJ Metcalf as well from Michigan, they're definitely building up on that defensive side of the ball, and it's got them up there in the rankings pretty good so far. Ole Miss coming in at number 12. They're not sitting back and waiting.
No.
They go out and we talked about it a little while ago. Deuce Knight, 5-star coming out of high school. He's one of the top ranked guys in the class. He decided to go ahead and split from Auburn. He's gonna get back into Mississippi, and that looks like a big time move. In my opinion,
Yeah.
You also get,
I like the
some,
receiver move that they got. The kid from Syracuse, Gill. I watched him last year. I think
okay,
he's going to be. I think he's going to help
yeah,
that
Daryl Gill,
receiver. Yeah, that
he's a
receiver room is
he's
going to be
highly ranked.
better with him. Yeah,
6'3", 175. He's a Texas kid, a lot of speed. But he could go up and catch those 50-50 balls.
they bring
Obviously they
Isaiah
still
Spencer back home. Isaiah Spencer is a kid. Me and you talked about this. We actually did a show about it.
Isaiah Spencer.
He
Yeah,
started out at Jackson State. He went from Jackson State to Virginia Tech, and now he's back at Ole Miss. He put up numbers everywhere he's went.
yeah,
So he's getting a chance to come back home. So, man, Ole Miss is. I think what they're doing. I think they're filling in pieces
yeah.
instead of saying we just got to get the best. I think they got gaps to fill, and I think that's what they're doing. If it wasn't for that, all the hype that they have right now and the momentum that they have, they could just go out and probably say we just want to have a number one class. Go out and try to get as many guys as you can.
Sure,
You take Troy Everett from Oklahoma. They get him in as a piece.
they do.
He was the captain of the offensive line at Oklahoma last
Yeah,
year, barring the injury.
important.
So
There's nothing more important than the center, really, on that offensive line. Whenever it
right,
boils down to it, right? Um,
correct. The one that kind of surprised me was Walker Howard.
mhm.
Walker Howard was at LSU. I think he went to LSU. He was at LSU. Maybe went somewhere else. I know he was at Ole Miss. Now he's back at Ole Miss. And I think that's a depth piece just in case things don't work out with Trinidad. You have a young guy in Deuce Knight. In case something happened, you have an experienced guy in Walker Howard. I think that's what that was.
Right,
And you got to have those. And you have to spend money on those pieces. You can't get those pieces with just nothing. You have to
without a
spend
doubt.
solid money on those pieces.
Sure. Oh, and then after that, Florida again. Billy Napier being fired. That's another guy. They allowed DJ Lagway to get out of town. I think but being able to keep a guy like Jaden Baugh on board, that was huge for them. Same with Eric Singleton. They pick up Eric Singleton from Auburn, the receiver as well. I think they're going to believe in some of their younger, the guys that they've already been bringing along,
Hmm.
quarterback wise. But you've got this. I mean, we're talking about Micah Hayes coming in from Wake Forest, another receiver. Um, you know, uh, I would just think, yeah, Eugene Wilson was also one of the ones going to LSU as well. So both the Wilson brothers, they're gone. But then you bring in guys like, they're out there building that offensive line back up. Go
What
ahead.
about South Carolina, man? They're not in the top 20, but they did not
They're in the top
have.
25 though, right?
Yeah,
So
they're
they're
top
they're
25, but surprisingly, they didn't have a bunch of kids leave. I think it
yeah.
maybe 19 kids. I
Let me
think
go
they
back.
got like 19 kids leaving, maybe 16 coming in.
They're at number 23 in the country. I mean, and obviously, one of the a big deal for them. You're able to go out there and get Jabri Wallace Coleman, the running back out of Penn State. Big time move right
Yes,
there. That's a
yes,
big time move right there.
yeah.
Um,
He's a dude.
yeah, and then they had to get out there on that offensive line, of course. You go out there and get Seth Smith out of Chandler, Arizona, 6'6", 285 tackle. I mean, he's a young cat, but you're gonna expect, he'll put on that weight. But they got
He's
what, 1,
athletic.
2, 3 different, yeah, they're building that off 6 offensive linemen that I can tell. They also went and picked up a receiver that we know a lot about. He was injured the last year and a half, but Jaden Gibson out of Oklahoma,
Yeah,
coming off that injury. He's a big time playmaker. They've got him listed at 6'5". They always talked about him being more 6'6" and even bigger. He's a playmaker if he's healthy.
Yeah.
That should be big for obviously looking at when you have a guy when you have a Lenore Sellers, a guy that can do pretty much anything, and now
Yeah.
a new coordinator in bringing in Kendall Briles. That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying I feel like that. You're right. I
That's
think that
big.
it almost feels like
And
this is what
they're
they're going to
not in
do, right?
right. They're not in the top, Jason. But you look at what they got is
Right,
what they needed,
right.
and I think that's what the portal is coming to. Years past, last couple of years, well, who got the number one team? Who got the number one portal class? I think it's more now about who get the best fits
Right. It doesn't.
because
It's not always. Yeah. It's having the number one portal class could also mean that you just don't have enough. You don't have enough talent, so you had to go get the most. I'd say that Oklahoma State's in the top 25 because they got like 60 kids.
yeah, and a
You
lot of
know.
kids left. You take the number one team is also the number one team in the country, Indiana. And I
Yeah.
know this is an SEC show, but guys, got to take a look at what's going on.
Yeah. They bring in 15 guys. And obviously a big one being their big ones that their biggest one being their quarterback.
And that's why they're ranked high. That's why
Yeah,
they're ranked as
well, I
high as
mean,
they are.
you go out and you get a Josh Hoover. He was one of the higher ranked quarterbacks. They had him locked up pretty early. But they also, I mean, the guys that they're bringing in, it just kind of seems to fit who they are, right?
Yeah.
They're defensive line guys and more corners. You bring in a big time receiver from Tulane, Chaz Preston.
Prestis.
Yeah, I like him a lot. But that offensive line, they go and get Joe Brunner out of Wisconsin. These are guys that are going to bruiser types, and we know they want to run the football, right? But yeah, I mean, look, I think that overall, you look at what Texas did. I mean, we can't not talk about what Texas just did because one of the biggest names in this portal period at all, Cam Coleman out of out of Auburn. Nobody really expected it. I mean, it was tough. You didn't really expect him to leave because you've always heard he's an Auburn guy. They were going to pay him well. He left and got a huge bag. Texas had been losing a lot of guys. They go and pick up Cam Coleman. They also pick up Daylon Smothers out of NC State, who had former Oklahoma running back, had a fantastic season at NC State. Pick up, I mean, those are
They
big
bagged
spots.
the truck up, man, to get that kid.
They had to. They had to, man.
Beep, beep. They backed the truck up to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look, the way that's college football. And I'm gonna say this before we get out of here with the portal.
But let me ask you something real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you something real quick. For the guys that have done really good, you just talked about in the last segment about Alabama maybe slipping a little bit. They lost 23 guys to the portal. They were big on Cam Coleman. They thought, and they were trying to get Cam Coleman. Not only that, they had Hollywood Smothers committed to them. Both of those guys end up at Texas. They've only got 11 guys in so far with the day to go.
Hey, bro, let me tell you something. They was also big on Timothy Lewis out of Mississippi State, the big tackle, and they lost on him to Cal. So we talked about them slipping, and they're not up here in the upper echelon in this portal, and I'm wondering why. And that's something, man, that we definitely have to take a look at when it comes to evaluating the Crimson Tide. I think it's too
They did
much.
go get Ty Haywood. You got to give him credit there.
Yeah.
Noah Rogers as well. Noah Rogers out of NC State, another really good. He was their other biggest weapon at NC State, aside from Hollywood Smothers. But
overall,
and then Caleb Smith out of Washington as well. But yeah, I agree. I think that they've lost a lot here. I mean, if we talk about who they lost, you lose a guy, Quay Russaw, you lose Jalen Hill, you lose Isaiah Horton, Michael Dubose off of the offensive line, Noah Carter, edge rusher that they expected a lot out of. I mean,
why are they ranked? I don't even know.
The receiver Jalen Mbakwe as well, along with Jordan Renaud. Listen, man, there's a lot of big time guys that right now they haven't necessarily signed all of them, that are in the portal. But Richard Young out of there, David Bird, I mean, Cameron Howard's guys that these guys are expecting stuff from later on down the line. You know, it
Dude,
feels
they're ranked 47th.
yeah. But by the same token, and now we know what they lost a lot of guys, but if you go down a couple more spots, Georgia's coming in at number 50. Now they've lost 14 guys. They bring back 7. But they've got a lot of guys coming back. So it's not the same. One of their biggest pickups is it's a tough one for us Oklahoma fans. Gentry Williams,
Yes.
cornerback, they're going to take a flyer on him. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I mean, just as an OU fan, I'm wishing him nothing but the best. He's had some injury issues at OU that I don't believe are his fault. But obviously, they did lose Zachariah Branch to the draft. I mean, that's a big loss, obviously. But I would tell you that overall, the guys that are leaving were guys that weren't getting a ton of playing time. The guys they got coming in, they go out there and, like I said, Gentry Williams being one of their top guys, but they played the portal game pretty sparingly every year anyway. This is who Georgia is, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that you can say the same thing about where Alabama is and where Georgia is at the moment.
Yeah.
You're still the defending SEC 2-time back-to-back SEC champions. So I still feel like Kirby's out there getting it done. They definitely it makes sense that they would continue working in their trenches and stuff like that. But you got a guy like Gunnar Stockton coming back. They like what they're doing offensively there. You've got your running backs, I believe, are both coming back as well. So it didn't feel like they had to get crazy in the portal.
Yeah. Well, most of your teams that have a really good roster, you're not going to see them in the top 25. And that's why it was so surprising for me to see Texas A&M in the top 25 because I
Texas
thought they
A&M
had
is in the top 3. I mean, they're right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised to see them as high as they are because, normally those teams that are high, they pretty much they're flipping their roster. And we know what Indiana's going to do. Every year they're going to flip the whole roster.
Right.
So, like I say, that's about all I got out of Oklahoma
did their best to try to beef up their offense and what they're trying to do. Obviously, being a playoff team that struggled on the offensive side would be an understatement. But you go out and get, you had some big pickups there for them. Is I would say one of the biggest ones though defensively. I think that Kenny Osawalu guy, edge rusher out of UTSA, was a big get for them. Parker Livingstone, another big body wide receiver, made a lot of plays at Texas last year. That was kind of a big get, but to me, significantly better was that tight end. They go out and get a guy like Rocky Beers out of
Michigan.
No, Rocky Beers was from Colorado State.
Colorado State.
Then you go and get a Hayden Hansen who's 6'6", 275 out of Florida. Another tight end guy. That was something that it was very important for them to do. So they did build up on that offensive line. Some of the depth that they lost, with a lot of the guys that defected during the portal because of having such a young offensive line. One of those kids obviously being your son Isaiah, who's now at Mississippi State. But talk about Mississippi State, and I mean they kind of went and where Oklahoma lost some guys, they found some value at Mississippi State in the guys that Oklahoma let get out of town.
Well, from what I'm saying, you take Kendall Dobie. We all know Kendall Dobie was a great football player. Oh man, just the injury happened in Tennessee, and then you had players behind him that was already sitting on the cutting edge of playing, and it's just hard to come back from an injury. The same way with my son Isaiah, he did same thing happened to him. Had an injury that happened in the spring. Unfortunate, you had some more guys that were younger that was right there on the edge. The best ability is availability. And when you don't have that, it becomes a problem, and you have to fix that. And just so happened we were able to get him, healed up. He's 100% ready to go. Then you got a kid like Zion Raggins who's there.
Love that.
Just a speedster, huh?
Well, and if anybody's going to get a lot out of Zion Raggins, he's a small guy, but this is a electric ball carrier. You get the ball in his hands any way you can.
Man. He's a boogaloo, man. He's that guy. And, I think the relationships that Lev had with all three of those guys is the reason why they're actually at Mississippi State. So, and Mississippi State is doing some things. on the defense side of the ball, which they should.
Right.
That's why they struggle.
Daylon Evans out of Texas A&M. I
Yeah,
thought that was a big get on the D line. Obviously,
right.
6'5", 300-pound guy. You go out and get LSU DJ Chester from on the offensive line, obviously, but
Mhm.
then, yeah, I mean, Jordan Gilbert out of LSU as well, safety.
Yes.
I mean, they were definitely they got busy there at that point. Hey, listen, between LSU, A&M, and Oklahoma, most of their portal ads are, they're power 4 guys. You
Yeah.
brought in another alignment from Arkansas, LJ Prudhomme. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
And then you get him out of Arkansas. You were able to go and get Gus Cordova, another edge guy, out of SC, Southern Cal, obviously. But yeah, I mean, DJ Chester, another interior offensive lineman from LSU. Obviously, Isaiah Dent coming from Oklahoma. I mean, those are big gets when you've got a guy like Kamario Taylor. Bro, special player, man, and I agree. I think that there could be a big season for those guys as far as taking a step forward.
Yeah.
Anybody else
Special.
that kind of sticks out with you right now? One of the things that I did want to add to this, the portal season is only going to get crazier in the upcoming years. We saw that the American High School Coaches Association, the football coaches, AFCA, approved a
9
measure
games.
to 9 games to keep a red shirt now moving forward. It goes to the NCAA to make sure that you can do that. But that's wild, man. And I don't really want to jump into that too much, but it's something that we probably want to talk about here in the next couple of weeks once we kind of see why it is, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know that they're awfully worried about a lot of things, but 9 games, it just feels like that's adding more and more time. You're hearing a lot of people that are worried about these kids playing too many years. I mean, if you're making it where you can, after 3/4 of a football season, you can redshirt. It just seems counterintuitive to what they act like they want, but we'll get more into that over the next couple of weeks. Guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about what we're going to do on this show from week to week, starting in the fall mostly, but what we expect to have some of your weekly content that we'll be bringing to you right here on the SEC Gauntlet. We'll be right back after this. All right, before we get back into it, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MyBookie. Look, if you're already watching college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, or combat sports, you might as well make it interesting. MyBookie lets you bet on anything, anywhere, and anytime, using point spreads, money lines, totals, and futures. You can even bet live while the game is still going on. Hey, and if you're new, they'll even match your initial deposit up to $1,000, so your money goes further right out of the gate. And MyBookie, use the online sportsbook or play casino games, many featuring actual live dealers. Folks, all of it's in one place, and it works just as smoothly on your cell phone as it does on your desktop. MyBookie even allows you to deposit with cryptocurrency, features top-notch customer support, and has a rewards program that actually pays you for playing regularly. So, if you're going to put action on the games anyway, you may as well do it the smart way and deposit with MyBookie and Hall of Fame Media. Just click the link in the description, hofmedia.us/MyBookie, and take advantage of the first deposit bonus today. You can support the show and guarantee your initial deposit boost all with one click. Quick reminder though, gambling should always be for entertainment only. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, and don't chase losses like a knucklehead. If you or someone you know needs help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is free and confidential. Hey, welcome back into Hall of Fame 365's SEC Gauntlet, our final segment of the night. Listen, we just want to introduce what's coming up this season on the Gauntlet. Not all of this is set in stone necessarily. We definitely want your feedback, as Marcus talked about in the introduction that we talked about, that we want to hear from you. What do you want to know? I think the biggest one that the recurring segments that we're going to come up, My favorite one is going to be the hot board because that's where you get a chance to hit us up and let us know what you think about what's going on with your program or within the SEC. What are the rumors that you're hearing? What do you want us to talk about? That hot board is your way to talk to us and tell us what you want to know on the show. What do you think about that one?
Oh man, yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that we talked about when we talked about creating the show. Well, we
Yeah.
want to hear from you guys. You know,
Right.
whether it's Twitter, whether it's whatever platform you can get to us on, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what your team is saying. We'll address those topics as they come along. Because everybody in the SEC has a crazy fan base. You got a couple teams
They're
that you
all
don't
crazy
really.
fan
They
bases,
all crazy
man.
fan
The
base.
SEC.
Everybody is delusional. So hey, tell us what's going on in those chat groups with the Alabama and the Auburn and even Vandy, y'all. And Vandy's getting a little delusional now. So those
Hey.
teams, we want to hear from everybody.
Absolutely. We'll obviously have a weekly power rankings. We're going to start that off next week. We'll power rank what we feel like is after the national championship game on Monday. We want to talk about who we believe goes into the 2026 season at the top, who's going to be at the bottom, where they rank for us. We'll probably throughout the season, throughout the off season, we might adjust those a bit, a few times, depending on what we see and things that happen during spring practice, things like that. As of now, we'll put those out there, but that'll be a recurring segment every week during the season in the fall. Also, we're going to come up. One of the things we talked about is the pressure index. This is the coach's pressure index. So we're talking about who's on the hot seat.
Hot seat, baby.
You had a lot of movement in the conference this year. I only think there's probably maybe a couple of coaches, maybe 3 that could theoretically be on the hot seat, depending on how things go this season. But we'll get into that as well a little bit over next week, and we'll talk a little bit about that. That's going to be a weekly thing. Where are they at as far as the hot seat is concerned? What's their pressure index as far as we're concerned on the gauntlet? Also, I'll be checking in from the road. As I told you guys, we're going to go week to week. Game of the week. We want you guys to let us know. Take a look at the SEC schedule. We'll throw it up there here on this next show as well. We'll kind of go through and let you know what we think the first few games of the season will probably be for us out on the road. I'm going to have the Hall of Fame SEC caravan out there on the road.
The caravan.
The caravan, baby. The mobile studio. It's a lot of fun. We're going to get out there and interact with you guys, be embedded for that week. So it's not just that we're going to be there just for the game. I want to be there to experience your town, to experience the city, and the way that you do things. What football?
It's nothing like SEC towns. I can tell you that right now.
That's the
Every
first thing
town
I've
is
noticed.
unique, man, and SEC is the best when it comes to college football and just home. Just the meals you get, the hospitality.
The food. I knew it. I was couldn't wait. I can't.
The food, man, is absolutely crazy, man. So yeah, definitely. Let us know where you want us to come, and we're
On that hot board.
out.
Let me know where. Hey, what makes your city, your school? What's the best food? What's the best restaurants in all these places? I've hit a couple of them up over the last 2 years that Oklahoma's been in the league. But I want to know more, and I hope to get out to all of them. I hadn't been to all of them yet. Athens, Georgia's coming up this year. I'm almost sure that I'll be at that Oklahoma, Georgia game. Look, there's some big games. I can't wait to see my first Egg Bowl. I'd love to see, that I'd also love to see my first Iron Bowl as well. But hey, I got to get out to Neyland Stadium. Wasn't able to make it there last year. I've been to Mizzou a few times, but I'd love to get to a lot of these places, Arkansas, look, I just wanted, what is the best thing to do when you come to your town and to play your school? I want to check it out. You guys let us know that as well. And guys, make sure that you become a subscriber to this channel, to the Ole Miss 365, guys,
65.
that is an amazing new website that Marcus and is partnered in with.
Dave.
It's, yeah, Marcus and Dave. Tell me, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but obviously, I'm excited about everything coming. There's some amazing shows already on the site that you guys have been doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. I'm excited to be a part of it and to be able to bring it from the entire SEC angle. I can't wait to travel around and check it all out. So make sure that you're becoming a subscriber to the Gridiron Insight,
Yes,
to Hall of
sir.
Fame College Football, to Ole Miss 365, and get all that information that you possibly can. Submit those hotboard links to my email, jw@hofmedia.us. That's jw@hofmedia.us. You can see it there in the description as well. You'll see it right there on your screen also. Guys, we appreciate everybody coming in. Anything else you want to add to this first episode, Marcus?
Well, just let everybody know that we will be coming to you live on Sunday nights. So
good.
everybody can get in. Everybody can get, hop in, subscribe. Let's talk about it. You got questions, you can super chat
Recapping the
us.
games from
We
the
can
week
recap
before.
the game. So we're gonna be a live show every Sunday night. So guys, look, get your popcorn. Hey, there's nothing else to do. Get ready and come join me and Jason Watkins on the SEC Gauntlet.
And we already know that college football is now a season. It's not seasonal anymore. This is a year-long thing. You're going to get everything you need from us. The recruiting side coming from and the scouting coming from Marcus. I've been a reporter and a writer for a long time. I love to bring feature-y stuff. We're going to have a lot of information. Anything you want to see, let us know, man. We're excited to bring it to you. Excited. Thank you, Marcus, for bringing me on board on this show. Excited to
No
work
doubt,
with you,
man.
my man.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you all on the next one.